Heat4Less is an infrared heater company. It's just a small 110 outlet heater you plug in to your outlet, and it can heat up to 1,000 square feet with no other heat source. So that's what Heat4Less sells.
Yep.
The way it started is, wow.
You owned another business, which...
Well, but I'm going back even before that. So my wife and I,
Yes.
we actually had foster kids.
That's right.
And there were 2 girls and a boy.
Yep.
They were all siblings. And the first time we fostered, and they were teenagers. And we took them for a hayride and ice cream at a place that was called the Oley Turnpike Dairy.
Yes.
And so I don't know how.
So I remember, because I was along,
Okay.
it was a school fundraiser for Daniel Boone High School, those of you that are listening local to us. And the youngest foster daughter said to you, she said, "Hey, Dad," because she actually called you Dad. She said, "Dad, why don't you have a corn maze here?" Because in the past, one of the businesses you owned was a corn maze. So that is what got the ball rolling.
Ah, so then I spoke with the gentleman who was giving the hay rides, and he said, well, the owner is inside, because I asked, do you think they would be interested in doing a corn maze here? And he said, well, they do a fall fest here already. That's why we were there, was for the fall fest, but there wasn't a corn maze.
Yep.
There's a little dinky one, but not a high-tech like we do. And so I went in, and sure enough, the owners were there, started talking to them, and
we came back a different time, just you and I. It was nighttime.
Okay.
And they gave us a tour of the entire facility.
I didn't even remember that.
It turned into them offering us a business opportunity.
Okay.
They were looking for somebody to run their ice cream parlor and their restaurant and their petting zoo and their fall festival.
Okay.
And they didn't advertise that, but when you approached them, they wanted us to run everything.
Okay. And then of course we did eventually. So
and Mom did not want the business.
From day one. She didn't like that business very much at all.
No.
She even said, Jeff, if you buy that business, I'm leaving. I'm telling you, I'm leaving.
I don't blame her. Walking into that place the first day
it
disgusting.
It needed to be cleaned up a bit. Yeah.
That was the first time. I was 15 years old at the time. That was the first time I ever walked into a business and kind of got a behind the scene of somebody other than you and Mom. Because I grew up with you owning businesses my entire life.
Right.
So walking into somebody's already running business and then taking over was like gross. It was like a earth-shattering moment where I'm like, wow, like not everybody runs a business like my parents.
Yeah. But the potential was there.
Oh,
because
for sure.
the clientele is already established. So the petting zoo was really a big drawing card, and they made 40 flavors of their own ice cream right there in-house. And so I just felt the potential was right.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
How does this ice cream parlor, restaurant, petting zoo, corn maze relate to a heater business? I mean,
we're getting
we got off
to
track.
that. We're getting to that. So I had owned the business. I renamed the business rather than the Oley Dairy. I called it the Family Time Farm, and that's the business that I had started there. And we're leasing the property, the land and the buildings and so on. And so the oil furnace broke, so we didn't have any heat in the building.
Can you describe the oil furnace to me?
Well, I will.
Okay.
So there was at the restaurant. The neat thing about owning the restaurant, it was like something.
Hold on.
Yeah.
This is a podcast. We need to talk slow.
Oh, okay.
The really neat thing about owning the restaurant was
that you got to know people. It was sort of like the Andy Griffith show.
It
you know?
really was. Going back in
Old
time.
farmers coming in, sitting down. There was one guy. He would come in and say, Ramey.
Oh,
and he would sit down. He would just he would know almost everybody there, and he would just walk up to their table and sit down and start talking with them and join them for lunch.
And the waitresses, myself included, would come up and sit down with them and talk. We knew their orders before they even sat down. They would come in at a certain time, and you almost knew when they were going to come in and eat.
Yeah.
We even had a famous, I know this is way off topic, but we had a famous female baseball player as a regular.
Ruth. Ruth was her first name. When she was younger, she was a softball pitcher
Yes.
And she was like, I think the like #1 in the country or something.
Yeah.
And so she also she had a private booth at the Reading Phillies.
Yep.
For her and her guests to go and stuff.
We had some cool customers, but we got to know them, and so the heater.
So the one person I got to know, just a really nice guy, he and his wife, and they would come in on a regular basis, and he was telling me about these infrared heaters. I'd never heard of an infrared heater. I didn't know what it was.
Right.
And he said, I have 6 of them. And he said, I heat my whole house with them. My kids heat their houses with them. If you ever want to try them, let me know. So when the furnace broke, the oil furnace broke, I'm telling you, the furnace was old. It was so old, it looked like it came over on Noah's Ark. I mean, it was old. It was real. And I said to the owner, I said, man,
it was huge. It was
I
a
am
whole
not
room.
paying anything to fix this thing. It's a piece of junk.
Yeah.
It was a piece of junk. So I called this guy up and I said, hey, you know, the oil furnace broke there at the dairy. Could I borrow some of your heaters? He said, sure, how many you want? I said, 4. He said, no problem. So I went to his house, picked up 4 of them, and I was heating, it was 6,000 square feet, 5,000, 6,000, I don't remember, something like that, square feet with 4 of them using no other heat source. Now remember, there were like freezers and refrigerators, there was a grill in the kitchen, so some things were producing heat already.
Right.
But there were high ceilings as well, higher than in your home.
Yeah.
So the thing is that I was heating the whole area with it, the restaurant, the ice cream parlor, the offices. I think we might have one in the kitchen where they make ice cream and stuff, I'm not sure. Anyway, so people were coming in saying, where could I buy one of them? So a light bulb went on. Yep, there you go, okay. And so I said, well, if I sold them here, do you want to buy one? And customers saying, yeah. So I bought 1 pallet of them.
Which are 24 heaters.
24 heaters.
Per pallet.
And if I recall, I don't think I had enough money to even buy that. I think, because in fact, the gentleman who lent me the heaters ended up becoming an investor in my company.
How did I not know this?
Well, he lent me enough to buy 1 pallet, which would have been, just about $5,000, something, not much. But I was all in. I didn't have, I was cash poor. Then we sold them.
Yeah.
And
we sold them, if I remember correctly, in the ice cream parlor section. There was like some tables, and then you put up a screen and just had a movie playing explaining what an infrared heater was.
I put up a big rear screen projection. It was a sheet, and put a border around it, had the projector behind it, and I was storing inventory behind it. And people would sit down and eat ice cream. They would watch the video, and they would then get up and go home.
Buy a heater.
Go home with a heater. They came for ice cream, and they went home with a heater.
Yeah.
So anyway, at that time, that company, that brand that I was selling, they had territories, and if any store wanted to buy their heaters, they needed to buy it through a distributor who owned the territory. So I had a 6-county area. If a store owner wanted to sell the heaters in their stores, they had to buy them through my company.
Right.
And I sold 500 the first year. And so
out of an ice cream parlor and restaurant.
And I thought, this is interesting, and it was also profitable. So
unlike the restaurant.
Well, the second year, your mom says the same thing, but
I say it because she said it.
She
did the bookkeeping.
The first year we lost money.
Okay.
But it's the first year of owning the business. We had to make a lot of changes. We invested a lot of money.
a lot.
The second year, I think it was 41,000 profit the second year.
Okay.
And we're going back quite a few years. That was a while ago. So
16 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's how we got into the infrared heater business. And then
it did better than the Oley family time farm business. So you got out of that lease, and then we opened up our first storefront. You want to talk about that? I mean, come on. Our first storefront was, what, 300 square feet? It was in somebody's garage alongside of a major highway.
Well,
there was no bathroom. If I had to go to the bathroom, I had to lock up and then drive home and pee and come back to work.
It was a 2-car garage that was renovated into an office. So it's not as though you say a garage. I'm picturing garage doors going up. No. It was a small storefront.
Humble beginnings.
Actually,
is what it was.
the warehouse was a trailer, a tractor trailer. That was the warehouse. We kept all the inventory in the trailer. And
Yes.
in the wintertime, you got to go out there. It's freezing cold, icy snow. And we weren't there long. I think
2 months.
2
maybe?
months. That's what I was thinking. It was 2 months. So then we ended up going to a 3,000 square foot facility, and that was a nice facility there. That
was very
right
nice.
along a highway, Route 422.
So now, today, we're
Yes.
in 10,000 square feet.
Yes.
And we are completely out of room.
Yeah.
So
The warehouse
it's really
is full.
exciting
Yeah.
to see our Heat4Less business grow. Ace Hardware is our largest account. We're in all their warehouses across the country. So that is how Heat4Less started. We owned a petting zoo, ice cream parlor, restaurant, fall festival business. Noah's Ark's heater broke, and we sold infrared heaters, and now we are a nationally branded company. So that's pretty exciting.
It is exciting.